I wanna watch Yu-Gi-Oh! We have Yu-Gi-Oh at home! Yu-Gi-Oh at home! Sure, Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds would be nice, but let's be real, digging Duel Masters out is pretty sweet too. We may have only gotten 52 episodes for the first season, but did you know there are actually 65 episodes? Plus, there are loads of other seasons and movies. But we are just tipping our toes into nostalgia, so we are sticking with the first season's 26 episodes. Especially since the dub changed a lot of the original content anyway. Shobu immediately wipes out his little buddy Recruiter at the start with his powerful Bolshack Dragon. In a tournament, he also sends opponent after opponent straight to the Shadow Realm. Even the undefeated champion in the finals starts sweating just at the thought of dueling him. By sheer luck, the champion finds some strong new cards, ones he's technically not allowed to use, but pulling a move straight out of Joey's playbook, he goes for it anyway. Shobu's in trouble, but with the heart of the cards, he draws his trusty Bolshack Dragon and counters. His opponent, on the other hand, draws nothing useful, loses his blockers and loses completely. So Shobu wins the final. He gets a trophy and the chance to duel the legendary Knight. Shobu even might be good enough to become his apprentice. Or maybe not. Knight crushes Shobu's shield so hard that he just wants to give up. Until those flashbacks with his father kicks in. He draws his Bolshack Dragon and, oh boy, am I glad that Yu-Gi-Oh! Classic never had 3D animations. Both players are having fun, shields are getting shattered left and right. Shobu loses 3, even though he only had 1 left, and despite the fun duel, Shobu ultimately loses. At least in the realm of dreams, Shobu can beat the pros. There's a new girl in class, which Recruiter almost seduces. If only he would actually talk to her.
Girls never go for cute. Oh, sure, they say they want a guy who will make them laugh, but in the end, they all go for the dangerous ones like Shobu. That lucky kid. How I hate him!
But he is still just the classic anime nerd with his laptop. The best way to teach Mimi the rules of Duel Masters is to let her watch a duel. Good that Yamida walks by. Not so good that he's a bigger cheater than Yugi's grandfather. Bro, what have I done? Conveniently, Yamida always seems to draw the perfect cards to counter Shobu. Turns out he swapped his unshuffled deck for a stacked one, which Mimi caught onto. I saw it with my own eyes! Still, Shobu blasts through shield after shield and then summons his Sky Terror to wipe out the blockers, followed by Bolshack Dragon to finish the game. Yamida runs off but leaves his cards behind. That's going to be awkward when he has to come back for them. Recruiter's dad seems to be a rival of Solomon, running his own card shop as well. One day, a duelist wipes the floor with everyone at the shop and is itching to face Shobu next. Shobu shows up late, but by the time he arrives, the guy has already been beaten by someone else who steps up to take his place and duel Shobu. Who's a bit suspicious.
Wait, the music cue just changed abruptly. Something's not right.
Knight shows up, finds the defeated challenger, and realizes something shady is going on.
I prefer Evil Genius if you don't mind.
Kojiro, a guy with the most intense eyebrows ever, has been crushing duelists left and right lately. He goes head to head with Shobu, losing almost all of his shields, but Knight senses a trap.
But do I tell Shobu or let him figure it out for himself? I think as his mentor I should let him learn on his own. I wish they gave out a mentor handbook or something.
Still, he lets Shobu handle it on his own for now, since he's got his own issues to deal with.
Man, is it me or is that camera way too close?
Shobu hesitates to play his Bolshack Dragon and loses it due to his indecision. His focus slips and he misplays, sinking deeper into frustration. Luckily, Kojiro finds the whole thing too embarrassing and decides to leave, giving everyone a good look at his back instead of finishing the duel. Determined not to lose again, Shobu considers adding darkness monsters to his deck. But that would be the easy way out, one his father never took.
Believe in yourself and you'll always win.
Motivated by his father's motto, Shobu challenges his opponent to a rematch.
What do I say? I missed a hair appointment because of you, and you don't just reschedule with Mr. Donnie.
And so, the duel begins. This time it's completely different. Shobu builds up his mana and lets his shields get destroyed, all to launch a full force attack against the Matrix Boy.
You put up a heck of a fight, partner. Now why don't you just go home and practice your evil laugh for the rest of the day?
But he counters with his Dead Liger. That undead kitty cat can't intimidate Shobu though. He simply sends it back to the graveyard, only to join it soon after as he loses the duel anyway. This time, though, Shobu isn't crushed by defeat. Instead, he's happy knowing he gave it his all. To keep going, Shobu's no longer relying on rare candy, but is aiming to take on strong duelists where a tournament comes by handy. He only needs an invitation, which he doesn't have. So, Knight gets him one.
Oh, by the way, you owe me $25 for the entry fee.
Awesome, you guys. I can't believe I get to go to the Invitational tournament.
And I've got rent coming up, so if you could run home real quick and ask your mom.
Thanks, Knight. This is amazing. How can I ever repay you?
You could actually...
I won't let you down.
This will be the greatest challenge you've ever faced, my young apprentice. But I have faith in your abilities, even if you do not yet realize your true power. But you still owe me $25.
As soon as Shobu enters, he's immediately challenged to a duel before the tournament even officially begins. A Donkey Kong wannabe who thinks he's going to win, but instead gets absolutely destroyed and surrenders. Once the tournament kicks off, things look great for Shobu as he wins all 10 of his preliminary duels. Rekuta, on the other hand, loses all of his. But hey, it can only go up from here on, bro. Next, Donkey Kong's brother, one of the Beaver brothers, steps in, ready to avenge his sibling. Thanks to all the info he got from his brother, he's well prepared and manages to destroy all of Shobu's shields, leaving him just one attack away from defeat. But Shobu pulls off a powerful move, knocking his opponent out with one hit and securing his spot in the qualifying rounds. Time to watch an exhibition match. Hakuo, the world champion of Duel Masters, who's sponsored by the biggest hair care companies, steps into the spotlight. His opponent has an almost identical deck to Shobu's. Not just the deck, but even the moves are the same. So it's basically like watching Hakuo duel Shobu. This makes it hit even harder when Hakuo pulls off a win with his slide cards, even though Shobu was so close to victory. A great duel, no doubt, but a loss is still a loss.
Nice work, Hakuo. You're one sharp duelist.
Thank you. I wish I could say the same about you.
All the finalists enter the hall, greeted by wild cheers from the crowd.
This is what Justin Timberlake must feel like.
The matchups are revealed. No time to waste, it's showtime. Toru, who lost to Kojiro before, manages to beat Hamster Cheeks, and Yamida takes down some random dude who needs to win against Shobu since he got kicked out of the temple after his last defeat.
You disgraced the temple when you lost to Shobu. You smell bad, you're rude.
You leave the cap off the toothpaste. You dress funny. And we just don't like your silly hair.
If he wins now, he can go back. Things are looking good for the top 3 as they each break through their opponents, setting the stage for the showdown. Yamida tries to mess with Shobu by bringing up his teacher, but outside of school, she's actually Shobu's biggest fan.
Never mind that. I have another trick up my sleeve.
To throw Shobu off his game, Yamida summons Shobu's favorite card, Bolshack Dragon, to charge his mana. To show he's unfazed, Shobu does the exact same thing with his own Bolshack Dragon. During his wilderness training, Yamida not only trimmed his eyebrows, why ever, probably thinking it would give him Super Saiyan 3 vibes or something, but also learned a weird hypnotic dance to throw Shobu off his game. It doesn't work. So that's it for him. And with that, it's settled. Shobu and Toru are heading to the finals. And leading up to the final, Toru had been holding back his trump card to keep it a surprise.
Why can't people leave me alone? What's next? A mysterious figure wearing a dark cloak that masks their true identity? I was joking!
But now he's told to switch to a different deck to guarantee victory. He's handed a copy of Hakuo's deck while Shobu and Rekuta get kidnapped by Yamira. Luckily, Knight steps in, rescues them, and the final can begin. And that's with Toru's original deck. So also with his trump card, an evolution creature. His Crystal Paladin pushes Shobu too. It's destroyed mid-battle, just as Todo was about to launch into his dramatic backstory. Then he gets another evolution card. Boom! That one also ends up in the graveyard, and with the Sky Terror and Bolshack Dragon, Shobu gets the victory. And with this win, Shobu not only takes home the championship, but also gains a new friend.
Is he ever gonna let go of my hand?
To help Shobu grow even further, he's offered a chance to join a training center. But actually, he's way too eager to duel Hakuo.
Can't you see I'm serious? Look at my fist!
An invitation to the temple makes Shobu feel unsure a bit. Knight warns him against going, but Shobu's too much of a hothead to listen. Good that he's got friends who decide to go with him. When they arrive, Shobu has to pass 3 trials just to get in. He breezes through the first 2 questions off the cuff, but the third is a bit more like advanced math. At first, he gets annoyed at his friends for trying to help, but then their tip gives him the breakthrough he needs to solve the final riddle.
Thanks, guys. Especially you, Rakuta.
Why me? My answers were wrong.
Now Shobu must enter the temple alone, where he needs to win 50 coins from other duelists before he can earn the right to face Hakuo. He starts racking up wins with ease until he's rich, collecting 40 coins in no time. His friends are worried though, so they punch a hole in the wall to listen to a conversation between Knight and the Master, and also find Shobu at the ground of truth. He got completely analyzed and so beaten over and over again. The temple's whole purpose is to keep Hakuo on top by thoroughly analyzing upcoming duelists, defeating them over and over again and breaking their spirits. But not Shobu. He still has 3 coins and his deck to get the other coins back. Well, make that 2 coins now. If only he had evolution cards in his deck. But he refuses to change it, as it was once his father's deck. Down to his last coin, Mimi steps in and sneakily slips some cards in the deck. With his newfound evolution power, Shobu pulls off a victory using Kalashnikov and Bolshack Dragon. And not just one win, he goes on to win 49 duels in a row, collecting all 50 coins. So it's time to win against Hakuo in a duel. But first he has to get past Kintaro. Knight tries to rush over and help, but gets held up. Quick, make up an excuse!
Well, I'm on my way to see my very sick grandmother at the hospital, so it would be great if you could move out of the way.
Can you do a little better than the sick grandmother routine?
I'm giving her one of my kidneys? Darn.
At first, the duel seems like a total cakewalk for Shobu, but looks can be deceiving. Kintaro lets Shobu gain the upper hand early on, only to hit back hard later. He strategically thins out Shobu's mana, preventing him from summoning Bolshack Dragon, and even manages to break a few of Shobu's shields. Knight shows up just in time to be of absolutely no help to Shobu. He finds himself sacrificing his best cards for mana, losing more and more shields. With his evolution monster and Hans with his flamethrower, he manages to turn things around and win the duel. Knight goes away. Shobu gets to be one of the Knight soldiers. So the duelists ranked under Hakuo. Shobu is then taken to a tree where Hakuo's hologram appears, welcoming him. He receives an access card from Kintaro, who's promptly kicked out. But that's not the end. Not with Shobu. Determined, he challenges Hakuo, but first he must get past his 4 gatekeepers. His first opponent is Mikuni, a legendary duelist who mirrors Shobu's every move. As the duel progresses, Mikuni starts to pull ahead, gaining more mana and summoning more monsters. Shobu's shields are shattered one by one and his confidence crumbles, especially when Mikuni copies his evolution monster.
I'll say this much for you, kid. You've got spunk. I hate spunk.
Shobu loses. He couldn't even defeat the first of the 4 gatekeepers and is thrown out of the temple. This defeat breaks Shobu's spirit. He quits Duel Masters completely, trying instead to beat Tsubasa, which goes horribly wrong. Baseball isn't for him either, and he shouldn't start anything else as well. Kintaro steps in and explains where Shobu went wrong, giving him back his deck. Shobu realizes he needs to study all card types, not just the fire types he's familiar with. To continue, he needs a new deck and a fresh chance to challenge the Gatekeepers again, which Mimi is able to get. New day, new deck and a fresh access card, so that he gets another shot at defeating the Gatekeepers. Mikuni can't believe his eyes when he has to duel Shobu again. The duel starts out just like last time, with Mikuni copying Shobu's every move, but this time Shobu brings out brand new cards. Time to flex the muscles and get serious. More shields are shattered, so it's time to tear off the tank top. But all that flexing and pumping is useless against Shobu's new deck, who can get the victory. With one Gatekeeper down, Shobu moves on to the next of the top 4, after Mikuni also has to hand over his access card. On to the second Gatekeeper. But first, Shobu decides to tweak his deck and grab a bite to eat. Rumors has it that the next Gatekeeper has mysterious powers.
What kind of mysterious powers?
I don't know. If everyone knew, they wouldn't be mysterious now, would they?
Since the second Gatekeeper is none other than Mimi. Rakuta getting Boa Hancock style turned to stone, so that he can't give more tips. Of course, she just destroyed the wall next to him and threatened him with death. But hey, close enough. The duel kicks off, and at first, Mimi seems just as weak as usual. Except she's not. She keeps luring Shobu into traps, expertly keeping the duel perfectly balanced. Even Shoto's mighty Bolshack Dragon gets squeezed to death by Mimi's 1000 shadow arms. Even if she's just trying to make the duel look more intense while secretly planning to let Shobu win. But then the master uses his Millennium Staff to control her will. Suddenly, one powerful monster after another floods the field, tearing apart all of Shobu's shields. Despite this, Shobu manages to rally with a barrage of his own monster attacks, pulling off a narrow victory. Gatekeeper number 2 is defeated, so fists start flying from the next room. Time to face Gatekeeper number 3. Mimi's access card gets melted down, her deck stolen and destroyed, and Big Brain Villain is the next one Shobu has to duel. But to make the duel happen, Mimi is forced to submit to him, and she has to craft a new deck under his watchful eye. Wait, you can't put Blue Eyes in there! It's time to duel, in which the evil twin of Vegapunk knows every card in Shobu's hand, predicting his moves since he is spying on him with his many heads. This knockoff Pegasus gets caught, but a bit late since Shobu's completely trapped. Mimi destroys all the cameras, barely dodging the flying fists that are nearly pulverizing her. The entire hall crumbles, but now the duel can proceed on fair terms. To make the duel truly fair, a glass box is placed over Shobu, cutting off any outside help. All of his shields are shattered as his new monster Magma Rex hits the field. Teaming up with Crystal Paladin, Shobu sends all of Neocortex's blockers back to his hand, clearing the way to end the duel. Desperate to stop him, Neocortex spins a dramatic tale, claiming he became the greatest cheater to pay for Mimi's hospital bills. Shobu almost throws the duel on purpose until Mimi smashes the glass, exposing the lie. With truth out, Shobu, no longer holding back, finishes the duel. Only one Gatekeeper remains, against whom Shobu doesn't need to duel since Kojiro already took care of him. The perfect next opponent, who apparently doesn't care about waiting in line. Whoever wins will earn the right to challenge Hakuo. While the two duelists sort out the rules, Knight tries to have a word with Hakuo.
We need to talk.
I have nothing to say to you.
Then you need to listen.
Both players are given some time to tweak their decks. And just as it would be an abridged style parody, everything gets twisted. Knight starts singing, Kojiro gets the goblin as his advisor, and absolutely nothing is like in the original. Then Shobu starts singing a song about his cards in a duet with his father. In a dream, he even chats with Bolshack, and bro, it's all a bit too much right now. On a table split in two, they play with the biggest cards in the world. At least the duel itself is solid. Shobu has to play defensively to stay in the game, but makes a comeback when Kojiro brings out his trump card. Bellow Master, summoned with the same spirit as the Egyptian god cards. With that, the duel is taken to a whole new level. A shadow game. Knight tries to stop the chaos, but the master intercepts him, locking him up in a prison cell.
Well, a jail cell. Can't
The master goes severely injured in a duel and seeks revenge against the opponent through Hakuo. Hakuo, who was an orphan with nowhere to go.
So you're telling me that you preyed upon a bored, lonely kid to become your shill and fulfill your evil plot?
One god card is taken down, Kojiro quickly summons another. The sweet kitty cat Deadliger. Time for the heart of the cards to play an evolution card, and with 5000 rounds per second, he turns the mighty Deadliger back into a house cat and Kojiro also with bullet holes. It's a shadow duel after all. Finish the duel, there's no break as Hakuo shows up. No respect at all, Shobu instant accepts the challenge. But first, time for a break for Shobu, who takes a nap. Fully rested and bursting with energy, he's ready for the duel. He heads to the arena, though sadly, Knight and the Goblin are still locked up in prison. Shobu takes a moment to gather himself, preparing for the biggest challenge he's ever faced.
Actually, I'm still a disembodied spirit.
So, you're not really here?
Nope.
Dang.
This duel in the arena is different. Very different. It's no longer just a game. Everything becomes real. When a shield is shattered, the shards are real and can actually injure people. Shobu isn't exactly thrilled about that, but he knows he has to win to stop Hakuo. Backed by the support of the former gatekeepers, Shobu no longer needs to worry about his family and friends. Which is only fair, as Hakuo, the world champion, is his opponent. But Shobu is the main protagonist for a reason too.
Maybe he is good enough to beat Hakuo. Maybe I have taught him well enough. Who knows, he might just surprise us all.
Hakuo has his strongest trio on the field. Super Saiyan Blue x3 has really powerful cards that even Bolshack Dragon looks outdated in comparison. Shields are breaking on both sides as Bolshack's attack is blocked. Hakuo plays his trump card, wiping out Shobu's trump card. Too many monsters on Hakuo's side and no shields or monsters left for Shobu. So it's pretty balanced. But Shobu uses his Talk no Jutsu, summoning with the power of friendship his Sky Terror and Rexo, shattering all of Hakuo's shields and setting himself up for the win. But he doesn't do it. Shobu wins the duel without hurting Hakuo. So he doesn't attack at all. Hakuo's turn, and he has the chance to end it all.
Confusing me. Not know what to do.
He attacks, which is countered with Shobu's kindness. Saved, the duel comes to an end. The master wants to slap Hakuo, but the former gatekeepers and knights step in to protect him, as he promised revenge. Shobu is the world champion, celebrates with his friend in the park. A few weeks later, life returns to normal. Shobu keeps casually beating Rekuta in duels until it's time for the next tournament. Just to beat Rekuta there as well. The tournament's favorite, the Australian champion, gets knocked out in the first round by a baby. A baby with a voice deeper than Yujiro Hanma.
Hello, Shobu Karafuda.
He doesn't just take out the Aussie and some random duelists, but also faces off against Mimi in the next round, giving him a hard time.
Right about now, Stu, Shobu's gotta be wondering who he's gonna face in the final round. A good friend? Or a really weird baby? Man, guy, sort of.
At the end, she's defeated and the baby advances to the next round. Now, the stage is set for the final showdown. Shobu versus baby man-child thing. Who doesn't duel at all, but Shobu gets tied up and kidnapped. Just for the safety of the other participants, of course. Shobu's friends show up to the game, which becomes real once again. A long back and forth as Shobu finally plays Bolshack Dragon, roasting a flying whale, which isn't his trump card. He sends Shobu's cards back to his hand, summons a few weaker monsters, and yet Shobu still manages to win the duel once again without harming his opponent. His cold, mechanical babysitter steps in, refusing to accept the duel's conclusion. He demands that Shobu finish the duel properly. When Shobu refuses, the babysitter takes the baby captive and forces Shobu into a duel against Dr. Babysitter. As the duel unfolds, Shobu must protect his friends from the real-world dangers of flying shards while facing off against strange, new survivor creatures cards with mysterious and unfamiliar abilities. Each effect keeps Shobu on edge, pushing him further into a corner. Shobu's mother is cleaning his favorite mug until...
It's shattered in slow motion. It must be a sign.
Shobu loses his last shields, but refuses to give up. Well, then a final attack hits him, launching him into the air as he sees his life flash before his eyes and lost the duel. After what felt like an absolute fever dream, Shobu wakes up, only to realize the nightmare is still haunting him. Every time he tries to engage with his cards, he is hit with anxiety and panic. To move forward, Shobu must face his fear. Conveniently, a new challenger steps up.
He looks familiar.
I know. When you look at him sideways, he looks like Batman.
But first, Mimi tries her luck against this mysterious helmet guy and makes a shocking discovery. It's Hakuo! He wants to remind Shobu how thrilling dueling can be. He crushes Mimi without hesitation to prove his point, as Shobu realizes that he hasn't actually grown weaker, but was in the world of monsters where his father might also be. Let's get to a conclusion. We've got 16 good episodes, 8 average ones and 2 bad ones. I'm incredibly torn about the dub. On the one hand, it has moments of brilliance with light-hearted, fun dialogue. But on the other hand, it often breaks the tension entirely and alters the story to the point where it's hard to follow, which makes watching it exhausting after a while. But if you wanna watch the whole Yu-Gi-Oh! Classic series in just one video, then you have to click here. Then you can subscribe there, and there's also a random video. But that's it again from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see us next time, so take care, my friends.